May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be always acceptable to you, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. It is an absolute delight to be here. My last visit to St. Paul's Memorial Church was for your rector's institution nearly 7 years ago. That was grand, but this is better, because now I get to see this parish as well as Will thriving. Plus, this time, my husband Tom and I have gotten to spend time with Will and Betsy and at places about which I'd only heard. We've been to Orkney Springs and seen the cathedral at Shrinemont. We hiked up to the cross overlooking the camp in what has to have been some of the most beautiful days in Virginia. My husband was even introduced to tomato sandwiches. He had never heard of them and thought they might not be a real thing. They are, as you know, and now he knows too, and is a convert. It has been quite a welcome. Thank you. And now I again get to worship with you in this beautiful space and to get to talk with you about, well, I think you know, this is the week before the ingathering for stewardship commitments for 2024 and for pledges for your centennial building campaign, though those commitments may be paid over 4 years and in a whole bunch of different ways. I trust all of you will be praying and thinking and maybe dreaming about the future as you consider your commitments and how you want to offer the resources you have for the future of St. Paul's and for the proclamation of the gospel. As you do that, I'd like to suggest some ways I believe both the reading from Deuteronomy and the reading from Matthew's gospel may help. We're going to start with Jesus, partly because I think that's just always a good idea. As is often the case, he's being questioned by religious leaders who are not happy with him. One group has fired questions at him about all kinds of things, including about marriage in heaven, which Jesus tells them is not a thing. When we get to today's passage, that group's given up, and now it's the Pharisees' turn. Turns out their question is actually kind of a softball. Which is the greatest commandment? There are 613 actual laws, but it's not that hard to distill them. So Jesus does. The first commandment is to love God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength. And the second is like it and inseparable from it, to love your neighbor as yourself. He finishes speaking, that question is done and dusted. Now, perhaps Jesus had just had enough. But whatever the reason, Jesus decides it's his turn to ask the questions. His opponents have tried to trip him up, so he does the same, asking how it can be that the longed-for Messiah can be both a descendant of King David and also David's Lord, both of which things Scripture attests. They don't have a ready answer, so they cede the field and they withdraw. I'm not sure any of us want to particularly wade into figuring out the answer to Jesus' question, but in it, Jesus clearly speaks to a truth I think we do know, and to which, in these days in our world and these days at St. Paul's, to which we need to hold fast. God is Lord of the past, Lord of the present, and Lord of the future, all times, are in God's hands. Our times are in God's hands. Moses actually understood that better than most. He learned that lesson over more than 40 years. He learned it when God plucked him from his work, tending his father-in-law's flocks, and then sent him, despite Moses' many objections, to confront Pharaoh and then lead the Hebrew people out of Egypt to the promised land. None of that was his vision for himself or his life or his future. But it became his life, and at his life's end, he stands atop Mount Nebo in what we now know as Jordan, looking across the river to the promised land spread out before him. Moses will never set foot in the promised land. His journey ends here. We might, imagining ourselves in that situation, we might well expect him to be angry or at least downhearted after all he's done for God. Yet that is not the case. He knows his faithfulness, and he also knows, more than most, his failings. Getting to see the land stretched out before him is enough. He trusts the God who has led him this far, and trusting God, he also trusts the future. A future he has helped to make possible, but which will and must continue long after he is gone. Now, I have to say that given the horror that is unfolding in that promised land, horror unleashed by Hamas terror, and now the tragedy of civilians, both Jews and Palestinians, so many civilians being caught in the whirlwind of war, it may be hard. It is hard to hold fast to the promise that God holds us and holds the future. Given the needless tragedy of another mass shooting, shootings that set our own land apart from every other nation, it is hard to hold fast to the truth that God holds us and holds the future. Given the persistent stain of racism and white supremacy in this country, it may be hard to hold fast to the truth that God holds us and holds the future. But if we stop, and if we consider what we know from the stories of faith, the stories in our own lives, and the stories that come from not so distant history, we know it is true. That faith held fast, sustained many enslaved people. It undergirded Harriet Tubman's astonishing courage in deciding to keep freeing enslaved people after she'd claimed freedom for herself. Because of her resolve to free others, she became known, wonderfully, as Moses. That faith led to the hard-won, if incomplete, victories of the civil rights movement and the ongoing call for an honest accounting and the work of repair by organizations such as the descendants of enslaved communities. I am so glad we get to hear from them following this service. But hard as it is, as we think about the people we know, maybe ourselves, who have come through unimaginable trials, as we think about the stories of witness in the Bible, if we think about disciples called forth and transformed, we need to know and we need to recognize that this truth stands at the heart of our faith. God holds us, and God holds the future. Our times are in God's hands, and we are held fast. That is a truth that was assured through Jesus' death and resurrection. Love is stronger than death. Life always wins. God holds us and the future. However, that does not allow us to stand on the sidelines thinking, oh, thank heavens. Instead, it is the work you support, we all support, through all that we invest of ourselves, including our time, our gifts, our resources. I am confident that those of you who have been here in this parish over many years, and even those of you who may be just now choosing to enter into the life of St. Paul's, know the ways this parish and your deepening connection to the gospel proclaimed here has changed you. I hope that as you pray about your annual commitment, you will let that commitment be an occasion to give thanks for all those gifts. The Capital Campaign is about envisioning what it will mean to share those gifts widely. Yes, it is about buildings, but it is really about worship and about welcome. The plan put forth will make possible a deeper life together in worship and fellowship. And your choir is already quite something, but that restored organ will be an extra bonus. But it also holds the promise of opening the doors of St. Paul's and offering the grace of God's love to the wider community. That has always been the mission of this place. But the buildings have not always made that easy or apparent. With this campaign, this place will be open to the members of the UVA community, certainly, but also offer a clear welcome to all members of the community. For who does not need to know and experience the truth that God desires a future where every person is seen, and every person is recognized as a child of God? Who does not need to know that God holds us and invites us into that future? Will all of this come to fruition quickly? Nope. Will all of this occur without missteps and maybe misunderstandings along the way? Nope. Will it all come together exactly as each of you envision it in your mind's eye? No, not that either. Nonetheless, it is an extraordinary opportunity for all of you to join God in bringing the future God intends for this place into being. And just like Moses, we get to bring all of our faith and even our failings to this holy work. If we do that, when you do that, through your commitments to St. Paul's future, then like Moses, you will see the future laid out before you, all the way to the horizon, and know it is enough, and more than enough. It is a gift. So consider what it means for you to love your God with all your heart and mind, soul, and strength. Pray on what it will look like for you and for this parish to more deeply love your neighbors and allow yourselves to be more deeply loved. Then imagine what a gift it will be to stand and look towards the future together with God. Amen.